Before seeing the crowd-pleasing return of Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home, and before the critically and commercially successful Daredevil TV series, there was a man in a red leather motorcycle suit who portrayed Marvel's popular comic book vigilante. A man who would show that being blind could also mean being gifted. A man who also played Batman and Superman. A man without fear. With the controversial decision to add Netflix's popular dark and gritty series Daredevil to the more family-friendly platform Disney+, what better time is there to kick back, relax, and put on a throwback from the pre-MCU time capsule?
It's always God.
This movie is divisive and, in some cases, polarizing among fans of the Daredevil comics and TV show. But being the first live-action outing of the beloved Man Without Fear must mean that this film at least partially set the stage for the newer versions of Daredevil that we would come to love. But the big question, does it hold up? Find out in today's episode of Marvel Revisited. Daredevil made his first appearance in Marvel Comics' Daredevil comic strip written by Stan Lee and Bill Everett in the year 1964. The original comic run would introduce readers to Matt Murdock, a Catholic lawyer who was blinded in a childhood accident and devoted his life to vigilante crime fighting after the murder of his father, a struggling professional boxer who was trying to get back on the straight and narrow when he was murdered by a mysterious crime boss. This story would serve as the ideal starting point for New Regency decades later when a treatment for the script was being developed. In 1997, the film began production at 20th Century Fox in association with Columbia Pictures. However, New Regency Films acquired the rights in the year 2000, and any progress made on the Daredevil movie would be handed over to its new owners. Now, originally, 20th Century Fox was eager to get this project going, and their plan was to introduce a feature film to be directed by acclaimed director Chris Columbus, who you might know from films like Home Alone, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and Mrs. Doubtfire. This, of course, would have been a film that looked vastly different from the movie that we ended up getting.
It's a myth.
In the year 2000, New Regency acquired the film rights and hired Mark Steven Johnson to write the script. Interestingly, Mark Steven Johnson was also hired previously to work on the Daredevil script at 20th Century Fox. This guy was just destined to be attached to Daredevil, and it was an easy hire for the studio given his experience with previous treatments of the character. This proved to be a smart move by the studio, and the script was turned in 2001 and received praise from the likes of Kevin Feige as, quote, one of the best scripts Marvel has ever received. The script was a hit with the studio, and the producers trusted Mark Steven Johnson so much that they even decided to hire him to direct this highly coveted Marvel masterpiece. And with the wheels of development rapidly in motion, it was time for this filmmaker to assemble his cast. Thank you for visiting Joe Blow. If you like the show, please make sure you like, also subscribe, and hit notifications so you don't miss anything. Let's get back to the show. New Regency began casting in 2001, and their first big assignment for the casting department was to find a Hollywood star for the titular role of Daredevil. The studio originally considered Vin Diesel for the role, and you can imagine what that might have looked like.
It's never goodbye.
Actors like Guy Pearce, Matt Damon, and even Colin Farrell would be offered the role as well, but ultimately, they all turned down the offer. However, Colin Farrell would end up signing on to star in the movie as Bullseye, one of the movie's villains. Affleck eventually signed on and even stated that in preparation for this movie, Ben read every single Daredevil comic book to truly get an understanding of the character. Affleck really wanted to get this role, and apparently so did his buddy Kevin Smith, who modeled his iteration of Daredevil after Ben Affleck in the comic book series Guardian Devil. The role of Elektra required an actress with physical capabilities that could intimidate her scene partners as well as being beautiful and mysterious. Jennifer Gardner was chosen for this role after competing with the likes of Salma Hayek, Penelope Cruz, Kate Winslet, and Natalie Portman. The late Michael Clark Duncan was cast as Kingpin, as the character's appearance called for a huge physical presence with a deep and menacing voice. Michael Clark Duncan had previously provided the voice of Kingpin on Spider-Man the new animated series, and even put on an extra 40 pounds for this role. Colin Farrell prepared for his role as the villainous Bullseye by reading Frank Miller's run of Daredevil and trying to nail the faces and mannerisms of Bullseye in the comics, as he knew he would not be wearing the iconic Bullseye costume. The movie opens up with a wide shot that slowly pushes into a battle-damaged Daredevil hanging on the roof of a church as helicopters shine their lights in pursuit of him. Daredevil is bleeding and out of breath, and right away this movie promises a dark and intense story where our hero doesn't always win. This may be my personal favorite shot in the movie. It looks so comic accurate and it just really sets the tone for this film. So Daredevil retreats into the church where a priest rushes to his aid. The priest knows Daredevil's true identity as he refers to him as Matthew a few times before unmasking Daredevil to reveal a blind man. The camera transitions through Ben Affleck's eyes and into a flashback sequence to start our story. Something I noticed when rewatching this movie is that Mark Steven Johnson is really fond of the zoom in eye transitions. There's like 6 or 7 of them in here, but none of them are as effective as this first one. So in the flashback, we get to see the origin of Matt Murdock as Daredevil. We see a young Matt whose eyes had not been damaged yet, and he's being bullied by some neighborhood kids. The movie quickly establishes the setting and the characters. Matt's a lonely kid with no friends, and despite his young age, he has to take care of his father, Jack the Devil Murdock, a retired prize fighter who'd previously been a rising star as a professional boxer. When Matt discovers that his father is actually an enforcer for a local crime boss, he runs away from his father and is basically in the wrong place at the wrong time, which causes a chemical spill and damages Matt's eyes, leaving him blinded. Oh look, another eye transition. So Matt wakes up to what sounds like an explosion, but is later revealed to just be dripping IV fluid. This is meant to quickly establish that Matt's sense of hearing has drastically enhanced. Then we get a montage with a very early 2000s rock soundtrack where Ben Affleck provides some voiceover exposition explaining his enhanced 4 senses and newfound fearlessness that kind of complement the visuals of young Matt basically doing parkour around Hell's Kitchen. On the rewatch, I actually found most of the voiceover exposition to be unnecessary, and I don't think the seriousness of Ben Affleck's tone worked against the kind of silly and fun visuals that we were seeing. So young Matt is enjoying his new life and adapting exceedingly well to the loss of his vision. But things quickly change when Matt's father is murdered after his comeback fight. Matt uses his superhuman hearing to find his father dead in an alley with nothing but a thorned red rose left behind. Okay, so the flashback scene is over and we see that Matt is now a public defender working to defend the underdogs of society, something that he had promised his father he'd always do. Matt's in court, and we see that the defendant, Joe Quesada, played by Paul Ben Victor, is getting acquitted on violent charges, much to the dismay of Matt and his comedic law partner, Foggy Nelson, played by a pre-Marvel hotshot filmmaker, Jon Favreau. And oh, would you look at that? It's time for another eye transition. The audience is now treated to a Daredevil suit-up scene, sort of in the vein of the Joel Schumacher Batman movies, but we get some shots of the suit and close-ups of the weapons before seeing Daredevil head out to fight some crime. He tracks down Joe Quesada in a dark and rundown biker bar, and we basically get to see Daredevil clobber an entire bar full of criminals in some very imaginative ways. See, Daredevil's mission is to get justice for the wrongdoers who skirt the law. He definitely doesn't seem to have a no-kill rule, as he's clearly okay with the outcome of the fight being the violent death of Joe Quesada, who breaks his back and gets hit by the train. It's here where we meet New York beat reporter Ben Urich, played expertly by Joe Pantoliano, who is hot on the trail of this mythical and mysterious night fighter, Daredevil.
Got it.
So this first big Daredevil action sequence in the bar was pretty neat on the rewatch, but I think it's clear that the dark and dank tone of the film clashes with some of the more campy and cartoony elements of the action. It does cause a little bit of a tonal disturbance, but it does transition back into a darker tone when we get this montage of Matt recovering from the fight. Matt returns home and we see the years of vigilante crime fighting and how they've weighed on him. He's scarred, losing teeth, losing relationships, and of course, losing sleep. So the next day, Matt and his pal Foggy are having coffee before work, and this is one of the more light scenes in the movie where the banter between Ben Affleck and Jon Favreau is kind of the main focal point, and it's really great. And I think you can see when actors have some sort of chemistry off the set, and these two definitely had chemistry, even when the cameras weren't rolling, which made it a very believable partnership. But the witty back and forth is interrupted when Matt catches the scent of what he believes to be a beautiful woman who's about to walk through the door. This is obviously meant to show off the freakish powers of Matt's remaining 4 senses, and this is where we meet Elektra. So Matt decides to make his move and try to strike up conversation with Elektra, and it doesn't go very well.
What are you...
Blind? Yeah.
I am so sorry.
Matt follows Elektra out of the coffee shop and soon engages in one of the most iconic yet highly memed scenes in the movie, the playground fight. This scene can be a lot of fun if you're in kind of a silly mood and want to see two superpowered people duke it out with a blend of chasing, dancing, and karate. I'm not sure if tonally this works for the movie, as it seems to snap in and out of being a serious, dark film and then a light, almost campy superhero movie. But this scene does set the stage for a blooming romance between Matt and Elektra that comes more into play later in the movie. So we transition from seeing this walk in the park with Matt and Elektra, and it takes us straight to a high-rise building in downtown New York. This is where we get our first full shot of Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, the main antagonist of the movie, played by the late Michael Clark Duncan. Kingpin is a massive asset to Marvel Comics timeline, and especially for the likes of people like Daredevil and Spider-Man, and this was our first live-action look at the infamous crime lord, and fans were not disappointed. The role called for a physically intimidating body type with a menacing and intense voice. We were given that and then some with Michael Clark Duncan's performance. He really steals the show, and it's such a demanding presence in this movie. Kingpin is getting word of Daredevil's activity in Hell's Kitchen and sees this as a threat to his operation, thus setting the main conflict into action. It's here where we learn that Elektra's father, Victor, was working for Kingpin until he decided to get out of the life and try to get on the straight path. But now we check back in with Matt and Elektra for some more on-screen romance, and the believability of these two strangers as a new couple is lacking a little bit, as they do sort of rush the relationship along for the sake of the pacing of the movie. Meanwhile, Kingpin has hired a hitman to take out Victor, an Irish hustler by the name of Bullseye. Bullseye makes his entrance in this movie by throwing darts in a perfect bullseye series, only to then kill the owner of the pub with a series of paper clips. It's really something. So Bullseye is heading to New York to make good on his contract with Fisk and quickly claims another victim while he's on the plane in order for the movie to establish this character as a ruthless serial killer with no code or conscience. So, unbeknownst to Matt, Bullseye is on his way to the city to stir up some trouble, while Daredevil is out on patrol, and we get this really cool shot of Daredevil's shadow growing on the wall in front of a street thug. This shot is actually really powerful, and the way it looks on film is just so epic. It definitely could have been a secondary poster for this movie, and I think it would have definitely got the attention of Daredevil fans. The moody and somber tone is immediately cut to a scene of Matt and Foggy discussing their financial troubles, as their firm is only taking clients that struggle to pay their legal fees. This also sets up the final battle later in the movie when Matt is invited to a ball with Elektra with a chance to network with New York's elites for his firm. Something that Foggy is all for, but Matt doesn't really seem interested in. Elektra shows up to visit Matt, and the two get this romantic scene together on the roof where Matt sees Elektra for the first time by using the sound of raindrops on her face to see her. This further solidifies Matt's romantic feelings for Elektra and makes for a much more gripping story when it all goes wrong. So now at the banquet, Matt and Foggy are introduced to Ben Urich, who takes an interest in Matt as he secretly suspects that Matt might know something about the anonymous vigilante sweeping Hell's Kitchen's criminal underground. Wilson Fisk is also attending the party and even tries to hire Matt and Foggy as potential lawyers, only to be bluntly rejected by Matt.
I'm sorry, Mr. Fisk, my partner's a little overzealous. We can't represent you.
Why is that?
Because we only handle clients who are innocent.
Matt and Elektra share a dance and another romantic moment before it is interrupted by the early departure of Elektra's father, who is now on the run after discovering Kingpin's intent to have him murdered. And then Bullseye arrives. Like this. It isn't long before Matt suits up as Daredevil and takes it to the streets with Bullseye. The CGI on display for this scene wasn't terrible for 2003, but unfortunately the technology just doesn't hold up in 2022 and renders part of the scene as good as ancient. It just looks a little bit rubbery and digital, which was even a note made by some audiences when the film was released. Bullseye misses a shot that he takes against Daredevil, and this leaves Bullseye confused and upset, causing him to use one of Daredevil's batons to throw right through the heart of Victor Nachios, Elektra's father. This leaves Elektra assuming that Daredevil is to blame for the murder, as the weapon belongs to him. Unfortunately, forensics collect Daredevil's baton, and Ben Urich recognizes it as the same one used by Matt. This scene is cool because it shows that there is a third party that isn't even on Matt's radar who is investigating him. We also get a cameo from pop culture icon Kevin Smith. Smith was actually credited as lab tech, but was referred to in the film as Kirby, which is a nod to Marvel's own Jack Kirby. What follows is a sequence basically following each character as they individually prepare for the last showdown. We see Bullseye and Kingpin talk about their mutual desire to eliminate Daredevil, and we get this clever line from Colin Farrell where he says,
I want a bloody costume.
Now for perhaps the most talked about scene in this movie, Elektra's training session. This scene is set to Evanescence's Bring Me to Life and showcases Jennifer Garner's dagger and martial arts skills. This scene is definitely of its time and goes back to the tone shifting thing I mentioned before. The scene takes itself very seriously and it's meant to establish a heavy rage and vendetta and call to action for Elektra, but the movie has already shown us teeter-totter dancing and human surfing as acceptable battle tactics. Daredevil goes out looking for Bullseye and is immediately tracked by Elektra, who intends to kill Daredevil as vengeance for her father. The two do battle while Daredevil attempts to explain that Bullseye is the man responsible for her father's death, but Elektra is too blind with rage to trust him. Eventually, Elektra stabs Daredevil through the shoulder and unmasks him to find out that under the mask of this fearless vigilante was her blind boyfriend, Matt Murdock. This realization gives Elektra the perspective that she needs to go after Bullseye, who has just arrived to finish his job. With Matt injured, Elektra faces off against Bullseye, who eventually impales Elektra with her own dagger. In typical action hero fashion, Daredevil's adrenaline from witnessing Elektra's death is just enough to launch him to his feet and take Bullseye down once and for all. The two battle it out in a church, and we're treated to an extensive duel between these two characters. It's a long scene, a lot of action. Something I really liked when revisiting this movie was that the cops and helicopters that were swarming the church were there for both Bullseye and Daredevil. It adds a layer of realism and excitement to the situation. There's real stakes for Matt Murdock as well as Daredevil if this goes wrong, and I love that idea. Eventually, Daredevil defeats Bullseye by tracking a sniper bullet to blast through Bullseye's hands before tossing him out of a window, nearly killing him. Matt heads to face off with Fisk after learning from Bullseye that Kingpin was behind his father's murder. Kingpin is ready for the brawl and the two have a brutal fist fight. I love this particular fight scene. It feels intense, personal, and even exhausting. Daredevil is getting beaten pretty bad by Kingpin until he sets off the fire sprinklers in the building and uses the vibrations from the water to see Kingpin and subdue him. Just before killing Fisk, Matt stops himself and decides to let Kingpin live. He does this to prove that he was ready to be a hero for the people of Hell's Kitchen. Not a lethal guardian, but a figure of intimidation to criminals. Matt triumphantly leaves the building with no mask and leaves Fisk with broken legs and totally immobile, defenseless against arrest. The movie ends with Matt accepting the loss of Elektra and moving forward with restored faith. It does squeeze in one final scene where Ben Urich is writing an article exposing Matt Murdock as the vigilante of Hell's Kitchen, only to then delete the entire article and evidence. He briefly sees Daredevil and gives him the nod of secrecy before Daredevil leaps off of the building and flourishes his batons one last time. There's also a fun post-credit scene with Bullseye where you see him in a full body cast in the hospital being annoyed by a fly, and he kills the fly by flinging a syringe right through the middle of it and nailing it to the wall. Bullseye. The film was released on Valentine's Day 2003 across more than 3,000 screens in the country. It shot to the #1 of its opening weekend, earning a box office open of $45 million in the first 2 days, which at the time was the biggest February box office pull since Hannibal in the year 2001. However, week over week, the box office numbers would continue to decline. The movie ended with a global box office total of $179 million off of a $78 million budget.
Swish.
This means that the movie was considered a success, but the reviews were mixed, with some critics like Roger Ebert rating it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, while other critics say it fails to bring anything new to the genre. Fans seem to like the movie at the time, and it's safe to say that this movie's existence is what gave us the Daredevil series, which everyone seems to love. However, despite the film being immediately picked up for a sequel and spin-off, Ben Affleck declined to return, stating that wearing a costume was a source of humiliation for him and not something that he wanted to return to anytime soon.
I'm in line with that promise.
The spin-off plan for Elektra would take priority over the direct Daredevil sequel, and Jennifer Garner would return to be reborn in this critically panned film. But of course, that is a story for another time. Thank you for watching. We've got plenty of movies to be explored and plenty of scenes and costumes and characters to be admired next time on Marvel Revisited. We'll see you soon. Hello, everybody, and happy Friday to you all. Can you all see me okay? Can you all hear me okay? Let me know in the comments. What's going on, everybody? I got my red glasses on to celebrate tonight's episode. We're talking all things Daredevil. I hope you guys are ready, because I'm excited. That's for sure. How is everyone? Looks like we got some of you guys already here. Hello, good to see you. All right. We're going to get into it. Folks, just a quick little to address last week. I'm so sorry. We were supposed to do the Daredevil stream then. We're doing it now. I'm here. What did Don Cheadle say in Iron Man 2? Look, it's me. I'm here. Let's just get on with it, okay? If you guys want to know what happened, I was unfortunately abducted by aliens, but I'm back now, and it's me, and I'm cool. So, hello, Carlos. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. Carlos is in the chat tonight. Let's say hello to Carlos. Let's give you a little round of applause. Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Yeah, looks like you guys are excited for Daredevil too. I've been seeing some comments. People already commenting what they want to see in Daredevil, so we're definitely going to be getting into some of that. And also, if there's time tonight, because I do have kind of a big list. It's my top 10 things, which inevitably will probably expand into 15 things, but we'll see. We're going to take it as we go. But we'll also talk a little bit about some of the Daredevil media that we've already received, like the movie we just learned about in the pre-show, as well as the 3 seasons that Netflix got before Disney. Yeah, Urinator, great name, of course, says one thing that needs to be in the new Daredevil show is actors. Now, look, I'm not saying I disagree, but I just watched Flow recently, and there are no actors in that movie, and it was pretty damn good. All right, I'm glad you guys are here. For those of you that want to go over some movie news as well, I noticed that in the last few days between the Shrek 5 teaser and we will talk a little bit about some Daredevil news. But it seems like there's been a lot going on. I also just want to say, let's take a moment to acknowledge that, unfortunately, this week we lost 2 Hollywood actors, and this is one that is definitely going to be felt, I think, throughout Hollywood. But rest in peace to Gene Hackman and his wife and their dog. Absolute tragedy. As that news unfolds, I'm sure we'll get to know more. And Michelle Trachtenberg as well. Harriet the Spy, as I know her. So if you guys are fans of either of those 2 actors, I know I am, especially Gene Hackman. Rest in peace. And we'll honor their legacy by continuing to watch their many great movies. So wanted to get that out of there. For those of you that have no idea who those 2 people are, that didn't apply to you at all. All right, guys, let's toss on some music, and then we're just gonna get into it. We're just gonna do the thing, aren't we? Yeah, hip hop legend knows. Real sad stuff, man. Getting the music levels here. Hopefully that's not too loud for you guys. Gory Tiger is here. Hello. What's up? Here, I got something for you. We're gonna do one of these. There you go. A little musical cue for you. And Black Tie Jax is here as well. Cool names. We got tons of comments here coming in from some people I think we're seeing on the stream for the first time. So hello and welcome. Black Tie Jax, hi, hello, thank you for being here. I hope you're wearing your red glasses because we're going to be talking some Daredevil this evening, my dudes. And you guys know I have to pin this one because it is from a friend of the show, a random YouTuber with Kiki as the profile picture. How do you got in... Oh, gosh. Well, we're taking that off, aren't we? All right. Maybe later in the stream we can get into some more of that stuff. But for now, I want to talk about Daredevil. This is kind of, for me, this has been fresh in my mind all week because I was supposed to talk to you guys about this last week. It worked out because, in my opinion... Oh, don't worry, Chris. My chain is here, bud. But it worked out because, in my opinion, with Daredevil coming out, or Born Again coming out on March 4th, this is really the weekend of hype for Daredevil. Bumbray, thank you for being here. My chain is here, my friend, so don't worry about that. I should have put on a second one for you, just to make up for you guys not getting to darl at my gold chain last week, you know? Black Tie Jacks, I love Daredevil as well. Juan Aguirre says, cool glasses. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'm doing it out of festivity for Daredevil coming out next week. And if you guys must know, these were like $7 on Amazon. So if you really do like them, pretty affordable. I don't think I could wear these for very long, just because looking at everything right now, everything looks wild. It looks bizarre. Nothing looks right. Hopefully my eyes will adjust, but for now it is kind of strange. Hopefully it's worth it. Hopefully. All right. Hey, Mel NYC Reviews, been a subscriber for years. Well, thank you for being here. Is this your first live stream with us? Because if so, hello there. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Happy to see you. Mel NYC Reviews. Maybe I'll check out some of your reviews, man. All right, yeah, let's you guys got a lot of good speculating going on. So let's get into 10 things, the top 10 things. Hey, you guys can hear me, right? Oh, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I'm here, unmuted, so you guys should be able to hear me now. Thanks. Yeah, Daredevil suits. This is about as far as we got in the last time that I brought this up, was saying that I wanted Daredevil suits, and then I didn't get to elaborate on any of that. So here's what I mean by Daredevil suits. I know that every, Marvel movie, every Marvel thing, nobody likes to admit it, but the suits are a very important part of the overall presentation, to me anyway. If we're talking about Marvel comic stuff, then you need to have the comic booky elements, or else, maybe if not, then you have something else, like a Luther type show, But these suits are important, and as we know with the Daredevil suit in the Ben Affleck movie, which I actually like, Daredevil can be a weird one to get exactly comic book accurate and still make him look cool, because he's essentially wearing an all red leotard, But I did notice in the Daredevil Born Again trailer that there's a scene where Matt kind of opens up his armory, I guess, his Daredevil secret closet, and you see 5 masks, and the 5 masks you see, this colorways that we all recognize from somewhere. And also, having recently just watched Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Charlie Cox Daredevil makes a cameo in that show, and he's wearing the gray and red Daredevil suit. So I know that these suits exist, which is cool. I hope to see him wear some of them in the show. That's because, do you guys remember when the initial, I hope you guys remember this, because I'm pretty sure this is how it went down, but in the initial Daredevil Born Again press release, before the show was what it is now, when it was still going to be an 18 episode courtroom drama, they said that Daredevil doesn't even put the suit back on until the 16th episode out of 18 or something like that. No, not gonna cut. I'm not saying I do like the courtroom stuff in Daredevil, but let's be honest, that is not why you're watching Daredevil, you know? And if it is, then maybe you don't care about this stuff as much, but that's not why I'm watching it. That's not priority numero uno. To me, I'm there to see Daredevil doing that Daredevil-ish. I'm there to see the hallway fights. I even like the makeshift suit in season 1 of Daredevil, the black face cover and like the taped up hands. I thought that was sick. Hip Hop Legend says, suits are very important. I love how they brought the yellow suit for Jackman in Deadpool and Wolverine. Me too. You know, seeing Jackman in the yellow suit, it kind of always felt like that was important. I will say, though, and I just had this conversation with my cousin, who's a diehard Marvel MCU specific fan, about the Wolverine suit. You know, the mask, when they CGI'd it, even though, like, I would have preferred that over never getting him in the mask. But didn't it look a little fucked up? Didn't it look a little bad when he puts on the mask and then the next shot you see is just this floating mask on top of the head? I don't know. It also just felt like maybe it was hugging his head weird. Maybe I'm crazy. You guys will tell me if I'm the crazy one. Yeah, more hallway fight scenes, says Carlos. I'm definitely with you on that. Let's get back to my list here. So the Daredevil suits, I would love to see, at least we've seen the yellow one, which I loved, actually. We've seen the red one. We're going to get a new bright red one. I would like to see at least one other suit get its time. Maybe even if it's just one little sequence, one shot. I would like that. I would like that very much. So hopefully I get that. But this wish list is going to get kind of a little more... it's going to, like, you know, there's going to be levels to this shit, right? So some of this stuff, it's likely we're going to get, like the suits. Some of the stuff, it's less likely that we're going to get. But one thing that is non-negotiable is that we absolutely need to get great fight scenes. So Carlos just commented about this. Oh, let me make that smaller. Apologies. Carlos says he needs hallway fight scenes specifically. Yeah, dude. The hallway fight scene in season 1 of Daredevil on Netflix is one of the most iconic pieces of Daredevil media. And honestly, for good reason. That's one that, like, on its own, there was so much craft and so much grit and gnarliness packed into that scene. That is one that, you know, when you think of Daredevil, that's kind of the thing, right? When you mention Daredevil to your buddies and they go, oh, dude, did you see that hallway fight scene in the first season? It's the best. It's the best. And I would love to see, even if they do a little callback to that by maybe like recreating it. You know, they kind of tried to do that a couple times. They even have like a pretty decent hallway fight scene in She-Hulk, believe it or not. But it is not a oneer, and it is not as subtle and sexy and cool as it was in the Netflix show. That's for sure. That is faux show. Oh, this is interesting too. I hope to see a Daredevil team up, but skip the good guys fighting each other. Wouldn't that be the day? Wouldn't it be the day where you have a team up movie where the two people that team up start off being okay with each other? I think we've tired out the Captain America versus Iron Man until there's a bigger threat that they have to put aside their differences. We've abandoned the ship of Martha. That's what I think we need to call that, the ship of Martha. So I'm with you, Urinator. I'm 100% with you, man. We need to cut it out. Cut it out. Get it out of here. Yeah, no? But yeah, I got to see great fight scenes. One thing specifically, though, that they seem to always get right with Daredevil, at least with the Charlie Cox version, is the fight scenes. Because for those of you that don't know, Charlie Cox as Daredevil has shown up in multiple MCU projects since the Netflix show. So there's the big one everybody knows. He was Matt Murdock, like his lawyer self in Spider-Man No Way Home. And then everybody knows the yellow suit from She-Hulk. And he also had an incredible couple of scenes in Echo. His bit in Echo, which is the only stuff I even watched. I don't know what the rest of the show even is. But what he did in Echo was pretty awesome. And the fight scenes were pretty awesome. So, but that was another one where in Echo, it starts off, he's fighting Echo. And he was just in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. That's another MCU project he's in. And in that, him and Spider-Man got beef before they don't even really make up and talk to each other. They just go straight for the beef. So, anyway, I hope to see some good fight scenes. Also, this is not exclusive to Daredevil. This is the last thing I'll say, and then I'm gonna move on. I want to see good Kingpin fight scenes as well. It's been a while. It has been a while, okay, since we got some good Kingpin duking it out, and I would love to see that. So new suits, I want them to be good. I want them to be sweet. Good fight scenes, non-negotiable. What else we got? This one we're stretching, okay? But while we're on the topic of costumes, I know Hip Hop Legend agreed. Suits are important. This is important to me. I would like to see Bullseye in a bloody costume. You remember that scene? Remember when Colin Farrell says that in the movie and he goes, and one more thing, I want a bloody costume. I can't do an Irish accent apparently, but that's how he says it, and it's awesome. I would like to see Bullseye in the thing, you know? Like, let's give him that like deep navy blue or black. You could even make it that typical Marvel shtick where you do it all bulletproof vests and Kevlar so it looks like it's military issued instead of just like a leotard. I'm cool with that. That's fine. Don't overdo it. But give him those chunky white gloves. Give him the white gloves, you know? So you can see the blood on his hands. Give him the mask. Give him the fucking mask. I want to tell you guys a little something, okay, about my history with Daredevil specifically, but really as a comics reader, my kind of history with Daredevil and kind of his rogues gallery, but namely, most specifically, Kingpin and Bullseye. Bullseye is one of my favorite comic book villains. And when I say comic book villains, I mean in the comics. I like the way that we did Bullseye in Daredevil season 3 on Netflix. I did rather enjoy actually that whole thing. I thought that was kind of like visceral and mean, and they made Bullseye as mean as you want. But the thing that attracts me to him in the comics is he is super powered. He's not just good at tossing darts into a bullseye or flicking peanuts into an old lady's throat on a coach flight, on an economy flight. He does more than that. And in the comic books, Bullseye's kind of shtick is that he's just a cold-blooded psychopath. He's a murderer. He's a serial killer, you know, and not much more than that. He does, you know, he becomes a mercenary like they all do. He gets involved in the government like they all do. But at the end of the day, he's just a dude with a bloodlust, and his one skill, I guess his many skills, all serve the one purpose, which is just for him to kill people. And I believe that Netflix understands that that's what's missing. And the reason I say that is because, let me go back to my here. The reason I think Netflix or Disney understands this is because they kind of showed by casting or advertising the villain of this season as Muse, who's a newer comic book villain, but he's cold. I mean, like, Muse is gangster. He does not give a fuck. And it looks like they kept him pretty bloody and comic book looking in the trailer. So I'm hopeful that the big surprise, that the thing that we're not getting from the trailer, which we're going to watch together soon, I'm hoping that that will include Bullseye in costume. Just like a big reveal, just maybe one good scene, even if it's at the end of the show or like the series or season finale, not series finale. If it's at the end of the season finale, that would be enough for me. I just want to see it. I just want to see it. So just do it. Just let me see it. Yep, Hip Hop Legend agrees. Yeah. He definitely does. He does need his costume. Yeah. And yeah, also, guys, of course, don't stop now. Whatever you guys want to see in Daredevil Born Again, comment that below. And then once we get through my 10, you know, I'll go through what you guys got. And also, we're going to be doing a Daredevil related giveaway later. So definitely don't check out here. Make sure you stick around till the end of the show. Okay. All right, but what's next? So we talked about new suits, good fight scenes. I would love to get Bullseye in costume just so we could really see that character, you know? And I hope they make him a freak too. Here's where we're getting into, I have my doubts, but I would like to see it. I would like to see a little check-in or even dialogue reference to some of the Defenders, okay? I know that the Defenders show was kind of ass. And I know that like the Iron Fist show was just god-awful. Jessica Jones was okay, but it got worse as it went on. Luke Cage was pretty good. Daredevil was good. The Punisher series was all right too. That one was okay. I know a lot of people love it. I love John Bernthal as the Punisher more than I loved his show. But I'm still a fan, and I know he's coming.
But I want to see some of the Defenders. I want to see where Luke Cage is at, where Danny Rand is at. I mean, for fuck's sake, the Iron Fist TV show was so stupid. It was so dumb and so nothing that I would love to see, like, what is this guy up to now? Is he still the Iron Fist? Has he powered up? Did he ever don the yellow do-rag? These are things that I think it would be fun. You know, you have this truce between Matt Murdock and Kingpin that applies to Daredevil and Kingpin, but doesn't apply to the rest of the Defenders. I would like to see if any of these guys are still active. What are they up to? And what kind of crimes are they stopping? You know? I would like to see that. I just think it would be nice. I also think it was a huge wasted opportunity to create all of those Marvel Defenders Origins series and then blow it with the Defenders, you know, like the team up series. So I think it maybe would be cool to give them all maybe a proper suited up, maybe in costume fight scene where Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones in comic book-ish accurate costumes, maybe just do a little ba 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 in an alleyway. Just a little, they throw down with like a gang. That's all I need to see, and then I'll shut up. I'll shut up about it, but I would like a check-in. If we're gonna check in with, I'm just saying, like, I know Daredevil was the best of the Netflix Marvel shows, but if we're gonna check in with Daredevil, and he's getting his own like extended 3-season deal, maybe we can dedicate a little bit of screen time to our other friends, right? Because for me, I liked some of that stuff. I thought the first season of Jessica Jones was pretty awesome, you know? Farpoint Station says, speaking of Punisher, any updates on John and Lance or their horror reviews? I rarely see Arrow in the head content following through anymore. Just curious if it's being phased out. No. Lance and Arrow, they're doing it. Actually, they have a new episode coming soon. Maybe it's not my place to tell you what it is, but I helped create it, and it's going to be a freaking sweet episode. So thank you for your concern, but don't worry. Farpoint Station, Lance, and the Arrow are very much alive and well and ready to rock. So stick around. They'll be back. You know, you can't stop John and Lance from talking movies. Trust me, I've hung out with these men. You can't stop them from talking about movies, which is why we're all best friends. So, yeah. So let's get a Defenders cameo. Specifically, if I had to just choose one, let me just say this. Have you guys heard that rap freestyle? So let me just say this. I sound exactly like him, if you know what I'm talking about. But if I had to choose, let's say Feige hit me up, right? Because sometimes he does. Let's say Feige gets my phone number from one of my many Avenger friends, and he says, Kier, you can pick one other Defender to be cameoed in Born Again to check in on it. If I had to choose one, I would want to say instinctually, I'd want to say Luke Cage, because I enjoyed his show the most out of the remaining Defenders. But if I had to get a check-in with anybody, Jessica Jones. Show me what Jessica Jones is up to, because her character is one of the best. Like, I love what they were doing with that. I loved how broken she was, and how her powers were just as much of a curse as a gift. Like, I loved all that stuff. I bought so into that stuff. So I'd love a check-in with her. I think that would probably be my number one. So Feige, my guy, Feige, when you call me, which I know you'll call me just to see how I'm doing. And when you do, Jessica Jones, that's my answer. Now you know. Typhoid Mary, huh? Ooh, or even Insomnia. Some deep cuts. We got other comics readers in the chat, and that makes me happy. Mel NYC Reviews. I appreciate the comments tonight, man. From all of you guys. I see some of my regulars coming back. You guys would have been the ones that missed me last week, so I'm so happy you're... Hello. All right. Let's see what else we got. Did we already... Yeah, we talked about Bullseye. We talked about... Okay, I think Muse... Yeah, Muse is the next one. So here's the next one, all right? We had the Defenders. We need Bullseye in costume, good fight scenes. We need some Daredevil suits. Muse, we know, is in the show. We already saw Muse in the trailer for the show. Now, I would not have included this. Full transparency, okay? Because even as a comics guy, no one knows everything and is familiar with everyone. Muse is definitely a blind spot for me in comic books. like in print. I believe I know he's newer, but I believe he's like fairly new to the point where, maybe I haven't even gotten around yet to it. But since I know he is going to be, since I know he is going to be in the show, I have some wants, okay? I did take some time to familiarize myself with who this character is, and that's kind of a big piece of this. As I was doing my research, which really just comes down to like wiki fandom. I went to Bookman's, which is like a third party or like a consignment store for media. I picked up a few things, couldn't find anything with Muse in it, so I ended up just buying some Daredevil books I wanted to read. But I did a little bit of research, and here's what I would like to see them do with this character. This is clearly Marvel's invitation, or I'm sorry, I guess so, yeah, Marvel's invitation to audiences. It's just kind of that olive branch saying, hey, if you wanted that dark shit that you got from the original Daredevil, we plan on doing. I think this is kind of that, like, this is their way of advertising to people, we're going there. We're going to get dark. We're going to get violent. And we know that, at least in the first 2 episodes, we know that is the case. If you haven't seen it, we have an article on the website. Maybe I'll show it to you guys at the end of the show. There's just some early reactions to the first 2 episodes of Daredevil. They were screened in LA. The reaction was incredible. And I'm excited. I knew, the thing with early screenings is you kind of know that they're going to get good reviews. You don't see a ton of early screenings that get like the true shit. That always comes later, which makes sense. You get invited to see something before anyone else has seen it. You get a little context from the studio that's producing it. They pay for stuff. They make you feel good, so it makes sense. But the initial reviews for Daredevil are good, and that it's bloody. I think Muse is going to have a lot to do with this. Here's what I need. This is a New York ass villain. In my research, it seems like Muse is kind of a graffiti artist. He's kind of a expressionist kind of guy. He just also happens to be a serial killer, and his favorite medium for painting is the blood of his victims. The blood of his victims. So, what I need in the show is I need for somebody who has not really read a lot of Muse and who has not familiarized with the character. I would like to see, make it bloody, make it fucking vile, make it disgusting. Just one scene to establish this dude is bad news. If you need to toe the line and water it down the rest of the show, maybe you have to, or taper it into a more, I don't know, suitable for all audiences character. But I would like at least to initially establish this guy as a freak. So I would like for it to be bloody. I would like to see kind of the full process. This is kind of what I mean. I want to see the full process. If this guy's a serial killer, a la Dexter, what is his process for choosing a victim, taking out the victim, and then doing whatever the villainous thing that he, a mural, a painting or something. It's gnarly. I don't want you guys to think that I'm some kind of psycho here, but I just think if that's the character that we're trying to pit Daredevil against, let's go there. Let's really make him a bad dude, something that would bring Matt out of this treaty that he has with Wilson Fisk, Because undoubtedly what's going to happen is Kingpin's going to have no choice but to kind of work with Daredevil to take out this villain, right? I think that's going to be the thing, is Kingpin's going to be like, this doesn't look good for my political standing. Matt's going to be like, this doesn't look good for justice in Hell's Kitchen. They're out of the kitchen. This doesn't look good for justice in New York, And so maybe this will be the thing that brings him out. So it's got to be nasty. I want it to be gnarly, That's what I'm hoping for. A random YouTuber with Kiki as the profile picture. Crimson Tide video is really great. Oh, thank you. Big shout out to, it wasn't just me, obviously, a big shout out to Chris, who wrote and narrated that thing quick, and to Paul, who jumped on the edit and made sure we had a nice, well-made video to honor Gene Hackman with. Now, truth be told, we're constantly in the works on videos, and there was more than one Gene Hackman movie that we were already, reviewing. But Crimson Tide was one of his greatest films, in my opinion. Him and Denzel, you don't get much better than that. So, yeah. R.I.P. Gene Hackman, and shout out the SS Alabama. What do we got here? Yeah, we do need grit on the show. Mikey, I agree. Mikey says, We need some grit in the show. I trust it will match what we got in seasons 1 through 3. I think so too. I think from what we're hearing, I think we're going to be in good shape. You know, it sounds like it's at the very least they definitely did not cheap out on the violence, you know. So I got my fingers crossed, and we're going to find out on March 4th, which, by the way, obviously the live stream following the release of Daredevil, I'm obviously going to talk about the first 2 episodes. I might spoil some of them. So if you guys are interested in that, definitely cruise through for that. It's going to be fun. All right. Oh, actually, let's do this right. You know, I'm so used to just clapping. Let's do this the right way. Okay. Sorry, guys. Let me pull up my applause here. The Punisher kill scene. That's what we want. That's what we need. Okay. Can you guys hear me and see me okay, by the way? You guys can hear me and see me okay, right? Sound issue again. Man, I don't know how this keeps happening. Let me know if I'm back, you guys. I think I should be able to switch scenes back and forth without having audio issues. But one thing I definitely got to see is a Punisher kill scene. The most important Punisher kill scene is going to be in this show, because we just heard that the Punisher, Frank Castle, is getting his own Marvel special feature. Or what do they call that special presentation? I think it's called Marvel Special Presentation. Whatever they did for Werewolf by Night and the Guardians Christmas special. Whatever those were. And so with John Bernthal coming back to do that, the only way that thing is going to be any good is if they can prove in this show that Punisher is really back at it. Now, when we talk about needing to see Muse get bloody and get kind of gross, I think the same thing goes for the Punisher, for Frank Castle. This is one, you know, with all the divides in the world today, and there are many, it seems like now especially, everything is divisive. But the one thing I think we all agree on, John Bernthal is one hell of a Frank Castle. One hell of a Punisher. And, you know, dare I say, probably my favorite Punisher. And I am a Thomas Jane baby boy when it comes to the Punisher movie. I love that movie. But, you know, John Bernthal looks like the Punisher. He looks and talks and is the Punisher. And, you know, that kill scene he had in prison where he just takes out all those dudes before going down. That kind of stuff, I think, is going to be important for Daredevil Born Again to bring us, to rope everyone that wants that right back in. And with the time it's taken to produce this show, I have faith. I know that the Punisher is in the show. I'm hoping to get one of those, you know, wah, 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 bah, bah. You know, one of those. I'm hoping to get one of those kill scenes. And if I don't, you know, this is one of those things, again, there's levels to this. This is one of those levels, I assume it's on there. So if I don't get this, I genuinely will feel surprised, because I know that they've at least filmed some gangster shit with the Punisher. They have to have, you know, they have to have. All right, let's see what is next on the list. Wait, whoa. Before we see what's next on the list, did you see this? Darnell Leak met Bernthal, says he's a nice guy. He seems like a nice guy. He seems like, you know, he's an animal lover. I feel that it's easier for me to trust animal lovers, which I know is not new. Like, that's not like a new opinion. I'm sure many people feel that way, but I definitely feel that way, you know? And I know John Bernthal is an animal person, and that's just pretty chill. It just means that you have empathy, at least. If nothing else, that's what it means, you know? All right, so Punisher kill scene. For the guy with empathy, he needs a kill scene. All right, and the next. We kind of already talked about this with the fight scenes. Like I said, they don't just extend to Daredevil. These things go. I want to see Kingpin doing that double-handed pop. You know, I want to see him like getting in there. Let's talk about Kingpin. I'm going to full screen myself, you know. Everything I said about Bullseye, you know, one of my favorite comic book villains. I think he's so powerful, and they've yet to really show us how powerful he is. I don't feel that way. Like the Kingpin, they have showed us. Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin is a testament to that character being realized from page to screen. They didn't change much, you know. They maybe made him, here's the thing with Vincent D'Onofrio. The guy's such a fucking good actor. He does kind of make you feel sympathy for Kingpin because he's so fucked in the head, you know, like, and it's not all his fault the way he is. So they do kind of this like dance with you where, you know, he's trying to be better and you want him to be better because you just you feel bad for him. And you just see he's got this kind of, there's like this purity amongst all this bad shit. Very much like the Penguin TV series. I wonder if the Penguin TV series drew any inspiration from, you know, the Kingpin in the way he's portrayed by Vincent D'Onofrio. Because I kind of feel like, you know, kind of that same thing of like, not necessarily like where you want the Penguin to win, because you don't. He's a bad dude. And even when you start to feel kind of good about him, he does something to make you hate him again, right? Like that was the whole Penguin show in a nutshell. And I loved it. And I think it's the thing with the Kingpin is kind of the same way. Is we have to remember that he's still an absolute fucking unit who will squeeze somebody's head, you know, like a grape. But also, he's like, he loves Vanessa. He wants to do better. So you feel sad for Kingpin. That is a great place to start for a villain, right? But then you add Vincent D'Onofrio's performance, making him weird and kind of unpredictable, and then making him kind of kind of like hyper intelligent, but talks like he's kind of punch drunk a little bit, like, you know, just kind of all of these like little subtle things that really make you go, that's fucking Kingpin, right down to the violence. And Kingpin is a violent dude. This is a guy who got where he is in life by smashing his way there, by just taking people out until he was the only one left at the top, you know? And I think that it's important to have kind of, especially this is going to be a show, we know that there's absolutely going to be some legal drama to this show. There's going to be some courtroom stuff. There will probably be entire episodes in a courtroom. They just did that with X-Men 97. X-Men 97, Season 1, Episode 2, courtroom episode. Easily the best episode in the whole cartoon. So I know that they're gonna do that, but they need to cut some of that with some of Kingpin's visceral nastiness. I want it. I need it. Oh baby, oh baby. Yeah, no. So hopefully we get that. I just like Daredevil has the right cast. Charlie Cox is a great Daredevil. I can't remember the actor's name who plays Foggy in the show, but he's been in so many other things. But Vincent D'Onofrio is probably my favorite casting choice in the Daredevil TV series. Unless you count John Bernthal's Punisher, because that's kind of one of those ones. You know, they just nailed it. That's my boy. All right, so we want a violent Kingpin. We're down to the last 3 things, okay? So far, most of these seem like they could be manageable to give us if we have an 8 or 10 or 12 episodes. I can't remember how many episodes it is, but it should be doable. But what's next? Don't let the picture fool you. Pay attention to the word here. Right there. I want this show. I'm just going to, in fact, let me, oh my gosh. Oh my God. I want this show to be sexy. I need it to have sexiness. Okay? He said as he put on his red glasses. Here's the thing about Daredevil, okay? If there's 2 truths that you will glean from reading Daredevil comics, there's two absolute truths about Daredevil. Number 1, he's always gonna be religious. That's part of the character. Any iteration of Daredevil doesn't stray too far from Matt's Irish Catholic roots. That's an important part of the character. It's an important part of who he is as a hero. You know, the character of Daredevil, the devil of Hell's Kitchen, is very much like, you know, it stems from his religion. But the other thing that Matt is an absolute slut. Matt Murdock is a hoe. Okay? He gets his. And we know that. If you guys did see, I know many of you are going to be like, oh, I didn't like She-Hulk because there was like too many chicks in it or whatever your thing is. I didn't like She-Hulk that much either, okay? But I did love the Daredevil stuff. And Daredevil gets his freak on. You know what I'm saying? He's a playboy. He has his love interests here and there, you know. He's got his Electras, he's got his what's her name from the show. He's got his, you know, his girlfriends. But Matt gets around. Matt sleeps around. Matt's a pimp. He's a playa. Okay, like I said, he's got that dog in him. He's a little bit of a slut. So I kind of think it would be fun to see more of that. They did do a cheeky amount of it in the Netflix show. They kind of like had him being a little bit of a Casanova. I would like to see like this dude gets laid, right? So I don't know. How does a charming blind rich lawyer, or I'm sorry, charming blind broke lawyer in New York pick up women? Let's put some of that in the show. Let's build out some more of these interesting traits of the character, because, you know, if all else goes well, and it is dark and it is violent, it's gritty, and it has the Punisher and it has Kingpin and it's got all this good stuff, why not also just go, you know what, let's give people a little bit of that, like, you know, sexiness, just a little zest, a little spice, you know. I'm not talking like, you know, like cheesy novella stuff. I'm talking like, you know, tasteful sexiness. Let's see Matt get out there and get a few hookups. That's what I want. Darnell Leak, you animal. My mom might be watching this show. She-Hulk grind session. Hey, you know what, Darnell? 10-1. 10-1. If She-Hulk is in the show, absolute grind session happening. They got unfinished business after that walk of shame. All right, what's next on the list? Okay, here's I know. Before you start typing that comment, hey, ain't no Spider-Man gonna be. I know that Spider-Man probably wouldn't show up in a Disney Plus original revival of a Netflix show. I know that. But I also know that I made this list based on shit that I want to see. Not shit that I think I'm gonna see. Not shit that I expect to see. Shit that I want to see. And I want to see Spider-Man and Daredevil proper, not Tom Holland, not Peter Parker and Matt Murdock. I'm fine with that, but we already got that. I want to see Spider-Man and Matt Murdock, and Daredevil do a thing, a scene, do one scene, do a scene. Here's what you do. Listen to me. Look at me. Hold on. I'm going to zoom in because it's that important. Look at me. Here's all I want. Here's how you do it. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to make a scene in the movie where Daredevil goes to stop a crime and Spider-Man is already there. And it could be shot in the shadows with a stunt double where you don't have to commit to a specific Spider-Man. Do a few web sounds and a few backwards kicks or whatever. A silhouette of Spider-Man. Maybe the score comes on for a brief set. You own all of this shit, Disney. Do that one thing for us. Just like how in X-Men 97, you showed us Daredevil from the Spider-Man animated series, and you showed us Spider-Man from the Spider-Man animated series. I realize it's easier to do when it's animated, like how Charlie Cox was just in Spider-Man's show. But let's get fucking real, Marvel. You guys need a win. You definitely need a win on Disney Plus. Think about it. Put a stunt double in one of the Tom Holland suits, the one from the end of No Way Home. Have him kicking some ass for 10 seconds. Daredevil goes to stop a crime. Spider-Man already webbed them to the ATM. The robbers are subdued. Daredevil's like, I was too late, you know? Maybe some witty banter with Spider-Man if he's still there. And then that's it. That's all. But put it in there. Daredevil and Spider-Man have a history together in the comic books, and we kind of dance around it these days because, you know, of the rights thing with Sony and whatever. If you can pull this off, just fucking do it. That's why it's at the bottom of the list. I really wanted to make my case for this. Yeah, Darnell thinks it would be dope. It would be dope. Definitely. I like how Ben Affleck plays a blind guy in Daredevil. Like how Dustin Hoffman plays an autistic guy in Rain Man. Well, I don't think those performances really had any overlap. Besides, they both played people with, you know, special abilities that also had disabilities, you know? They were both heroes in that way. I'm an excellent driver. Yeah, so definitely Daredevil. That was my Rain Man impression. I don't know. I just think maybe it's time for Disney to like shape up and stop being so smug and being like, we only put Spider-Man in the movies where he makes billions. You know, don't be so tight on it. Just give us a little bit of it. You know, this is a great launching point to get some you don't even have to put a plot in there that has to tie into any of the movies. Just put him in the show, okay? Ooh, now this is an idea from Samuel Parker. Hello, sir. Bring in the dubbed Japanese Spider-Man. Yeah, you guys remember that one from, I think it was the 1970s, I think. There was the Spider-Man movie. I think Spider-Man had a gun in that movie at one point. I haven't seen it, but I think he did. All right, so if we're not going to get Spider-Man, then the last thing I need, some good old court cases. I alluded to this, that I think that a lot of this show will take place in the courtroom, you know? And I think that because that was the original plan for this show. And I think even if they completely overhauled it, they're going to keep some of those elements because they really believed in it. They had 18 episodes of it, you know? Like, ready to go, I think. So I would like to see some of that, you know, because I think that this is also a good place to work in the inevitable Marvel cameos. Now, I know that in She-Hulk, they fucked this up by wasting a lot of the character cameos, you know? Like, I did not like the Emil Blonsky cameo in She-Hulk. I just didn't like that the character was no longer the character. It was just like the same actor playing a way nicer version of a pretty evil guy. Or at least a very determined guy. He would have made a good Bullseye too. Roth would have made a good Bullseye. But this is a good way for them to kind of fix that, right? They could do, maybe it's a court case for, like, you know, one of the X-Men that they plan to introduce, or at least the idea of X-Men, right? Maybe he's representing a mutant, or maybe it's a way to work in some traditional, you know, characters from the comics that are too goofy to dedicate any real time to. So you just kind of put them in name only or appearance only in the courtroom, you know? And that would be okay, I think. Like, I think that's, you know, I want the courtroom stuff to be good, but I also think that that's kind of that's a room where you have a lot of excuses to put random faces in there. And I think that they should use that to their advantage and just kind of dress the show in fun while delivering us some of these more serious legal stuff, you know? So those are my 10 things. There's, I mean, I guess in reality, I probably named 20 things and just disguised it as 10, but I did do it in just under an hour. So pretty happy about that. Now, these are all things that I want to see, but what it's all going to come down to, everybody, is what we all know. Now, not just my house, but the entire street. And I know because as soon as that happened, my neighbor called. So that's fun. We're back. Let's move on. We got to crack on. Because we're just starting to have fun too, I could tell. All right. Okay, we are so back. Yeah, dude, it's only on Fridays. I swear it's only on Fridays that something in this random town happens, and it is so annoying, and I'm so sorry that you guys have to deal with that. But we're back, and luckily, I mean, like, you know, we're towards the end of the show anyway. I do have a giveaway that I want to get to with you guys. How's the light in here now? When everything turned off, I had to set up like my lights, my camera, literally everything was off. I had to get it all going back. So we're gonna do a giveaway, and then with the little bit of time left, we'll talk about what I watched this week. I have some great recommendations for you guys. Yeah, I'm back. Welcome back. Thank you. Let's do the giveaway before anything else happens on this godforsaken live show. Okay. Here's the deal, guys. You guys know one of my favorite things to give away on this show is figures. I like to collect figures. I have some back here. I have some over there. I've got some on my desk. I've got them everywhere. I've even got... Oh, had to turn that one back on too. I've even got my Joe Blow figure. I love giving them away. And this is one that is near and dear to me because I actually have one of these. I don't know where it's at. I believe it is in this office somewhere, probably in my storage closet. But I do have one of these, and I didn't get it as a kid. Like, this isn't something I had as a kid and kept forever. But I bought one, I don't know, 13 years ago, maybe 14, 15 years ago. And a few X-Men ones as well. But I love this one, and I thought it would be appropriate to give a brand new one away. So, as usual with our giveaways, guys, this is going to be for North America only, which means, you know, Mexico, US, Canada. We can ship to North America, but we are not doing international for this particular giveaway. So if you don't live in North America, I'm sorry, but tonight you don't want to enter the giveaway because you won't win. Okay. Okay, so now let's get into it. If you guys want to win this prize right here, this beautiful, by the way, this thing is, it's a 13-inch figure, so it's big. If you want to win that, all you have to do is be the first one to tell me what was the original murder weapon from Bullseye's first kill in the Daredevil comics. This is a pretty easy one for you who comic book lovers. Those of you that have read the comics, you're gonna be able to find this answer. But if you don't read the comics, this might be kind of a shock for you. So what I want to know, in Bullseye's origin in the Daredevil comic books, what was the murder weapon for his first kill? Let me know. Let me know. This is going to be exciting. Darnell, it was not cards, although that is a great guess. It was not cards. There are, though, many, many instances in the comics of him using cards as weapons. I don't know who this YouTuber is, but if I look like a random YouTuber named Minty Comedic Arts, I will look him up after the stream because that's a cool name. It was not a shuriken or a number 2 pencil. Although these are both very good guesses. I like the number 2 pencil guess, but I'm sorry. Apex Comics, that is not correct. What else? What else could it have been? Who wants to win a Daredevil doll? This is like the goddamn Turbo Man from Jingle All the Way. I know you guys want this. It was not Ninja Star. Ooh, but that's a good guess, Sam. That's a cool guess. It was not Ninja Stars, though, or a pencil, or playing cards. It was not a bayonet, although, dang, these are cool. These are cool ideas. Maybe like a bayonet, like, you know, military or something, but I'm looking for Bullseye's first murder. What was the weapon? It was a baseball. Darnell Leak, you cheeky bastard. It was a baseball. Now, Darnell, remind me, please, you are in North America, is that correct? If so, congratulations. I finally win. Yeah, dude. Well, hey, it's like I tell you every single time you enter. If you didn't win this time, come back next week because you might win the next one. So, yes. Oh, yeah, cool. Okay, so US. So you're in the US, which means you're going to get your Daredevil figure. So all you got to do, if you want to claim your prize, of course, is email arrow@joeblow.com. I'm throwing that in the comments in the live chat. You'll want to provide Arrow with your name, best shipping address for you, and that's it. Say something nice about me, maybe, while you're in there. Congratulations, my friend. So you will be the recipient of this beautiful 12 or 13-inch Daredevil figure. And for the rest of you, I have the #1 Daredevil soundbite here for those of you that are sad that you didn't win. This is probably the greatest thing to come out of any piece of Daredevil media. Yeah. If you guys thought that I wasn't going to do that this stream, those of you that know from my Daredevil review, but also my Elektra review, I think that song is probably the biggest meme in comic book movies ever. Because growing up, it was just so fun to make fun of. So, good. All right, guys. thank you all so much for being here. I love talking Daredevil. I love talking comics in general. So if you guys enjoyed tonight's show, tonight's topic, if you like when I just break down hopes and dreams that I have for things Marvel, DC, or otherwise, let me know that, because I would love to do more comic book stuff. If you guys are nerds like that, then let's fucking party, bros. You know, let's do it. So thank you guys for being here. Apologies again for any technical issues, but luckily we were able to nip them in the bud pretty briskly and quickly. Okay, so at least we had a show tonight. I love you guys all. Thank you so much for being here. And as usual, my goal with all of this is to find my tribe and build a community of people that enjoy what I do and what we do here. So if that's you, please like the video, make sure you're subscribed, share this kind of stuff with your friends. You know, I got to say all that stuff. And I will see you guys next Friday. Love you all, and peace out.